One of the most important things you can add to any model is a material of some sort. A material is something that describes what that object is through color, through shininess, through, you know, cracks, through dings, bumps, all kinds of things. So let's go ahead and explore some of the properties that you'll find in materials. And in the following lesson, we'll go ahead and apply some to an actual object. So I'm going to go ahead and get a guinea pig. I'll grab a sphere. And the sphere appears, of course, in the Objects Manager. So if I want to add a material, I come all the way down here in this bottom left quadrant, and I can simply go to Create, or I can double click on a blank area here. So I'm going to go to Create, New Material. And just to show you this, I'll double click here, and I get another material as well. By default, you'll have the material name followed by a number. All right, so here's material, the first one we created, and material number 1. And as I add more, they will have the .2, .3, and so on. If we want to edit this material, we could double click on it, and it opens it up in a separate material editor window. And here we can actually rename it. So I'll just go ahead and call this yellow. So let's talk about some of these guys here. All right. Let's talk about what these mean and how they appear on your objects. So the first one is the most obvious, which is color. Color in some applications is also known as the diffuse as well. So if you see this, sometimes, once again, it will be used in lieu of the word color. Color, of course, is the RGB, or if you go to this little drop down list here, under the little color swatch, the hue, saturation, of value of that material. To give you an example, I can just click on the swatch and I can go through the little tools we have here until I find a yellow, or I can go ahead to this little guy here, choose yellow, and then choose my values here. So what this little box tells us is the saturation. All the way on the right of this little box here is how saturated a color is. And as we go to the left, we are slowly desaturating that color. And you can see that right here in this little representation. So I go all the way to the right, very saturated, very full of color, and slowly pulling the color out to gray on the left. We also have the up and down here, which is our brightness. And we have our midtones, which of course will be our value, grayscale. So I'll go ahead and just make it very super saturated, and now we have our color on our object. Once again, diffusion can also affect how bright that color is on our object. I can go ahead and dial this down and change the brightness. I can also change any other values on this object. Now, one of the things that I really want to bring to your attention, and this is something that takes a little getting used to, especially if you use other applications like 3D Studio Max or Modo or Maya, is that you have to be on the name of the parameter that you want to change. So if you want to change the color values, click on the color. It turns orange. And now you can see the options available to you. So they're going to change based on where you are. Luminance gives the illusion of self-illumination. So I can have my object, when I select it here, look like it's lighting itself up. And I can dial that down at any time by going to this little brightness slider. Transparency will give you the ability to make your object more opaque or less opaque or transparent. Reflection, when you have it checked, will add a picture in the environment that will reflect on our object, and we can change that at any time. Fog will give your object the appearance of some volume, so you have some volumetrics in there. Now, bump I don't have on here right now, but think of bump as like goose skin or goose flesh on your object. So it looks like it has bumps on it, but it's only an illusion that appears on the front of our object facing us, but never on the actual sides. Specular talks about how shiny the object is. So this little hot spot here. Glow gives our object a little bit of a halo, so you can make a sun or some kind of atmospherics on a planet. And displacement gives us the ability to actually have the bump perturb the actual surface of our object. So whereas the bump is an optical illusion and makes it look like a bumpy surface, the displacement actually does make it bumpy. So now that we've had a chance to explore the different parameters that we can apply to our objects, we'll go ahead and actually put them on our objects and see what they look like with quick test renders in the next lesson.